Here we go. And yeah, so we'll see. Got the chat up. I put it up on Twitter. Yeah, we are the Flash. All right, let's see if this is working here. Is it showing up on my screen over here? It is. It says I am live. The internet can totally see you. So maybe they can, maybe they can't. I don't know. All right, if you guys are watching this on playback, just a heads up, there are going to be spoilers for the finales of both Arrow and The Flash, and we are not going to be deep diving into Supergirl or Legends. We're going to skip over those this week because we have the finales for those next week, and so I'm going to save all of my big comments about that for next week or whatever. Let me take down the picture here, and yeah, we got some people in the chat already. I'm here with Pagey, as always.
Hello.
As always. We are at the end of the seasons for Arrow and Flash, and so I feel like we could give our initial reactions about it. I think Pagey and I will probably do not a lot of videos. I think that we're kind of finished with these seasons. I don't really know what else we could really talk about. Maybe some some stuff we didn't like in another video or something. But I think we'll probably both do another couple videos on these seasons before we're completely done. But honestly, I think both shows did a good job of getting us excited for next year. I think Flash had the least amount of tease for next season. I think Arrow gave us a lot to think about at the end.
Yeah, the end is it's like one thing, because really the ending thing is not really for Flash; it's for everything.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of theories about what's going on with that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to do videos about them too when we've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
People always say, "Don't rip the finales, please." Is Carlos leaving? We're going to get into everything, you guys. You're on late. Actually, this is like normal start time. Maybe 5 minutes later than normal. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to skip over Supergirl and Legends, unfortunately, this week because we have so much to talk about for Arrow and Flash. So we're going to jump right into that. I will give a quick feelings on Supergirl. I think Supergirl's penultimate episode was the best penultimate this season for all the shows. And I think it's got the best setup for the finale. So I'm very excited for Supergirl's finale. I think we're in for something really good if they can stick the landing, as Pagey would put it. And Legends of Tomorrow, I hated it. What's new? I had one good episode this season. I guess that's all we're going to get. Any general thoughts on those before we move on? Because I'm not going to do a whole separate section. Pagey?
I didn't watch Legends, and Supergirl was good.
So basically the same thing I just said. All right. Let's do All right, so we're going to move on to Arrow. Let me get the pictures up here so we can talk about it. Arrow season finale. You have saved the city. Was the season finale. What a way to play it, right? I want to say this before we get into this. This felt like the series finale to me, the way it wrapped up at the end. It was almost like we could just go right into Crisis from here.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way too about it?
Especially based off, because I sort of was waiting to give my thoughts on how Arrow ended. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Where are they going to go from here? Based off Flash's ending. Mm-hmm. But Flash's ending just didn't help Arrow's ending. It didn't gel. That's probably the best way to put it. It didn't gel, because I thought, okay, is there going to be a time jump? Because it doesn't seem that Supergirl's going to do a time jump. So I'm super interested to see what Arrow does, because it's already had that time jump. And then we're meant to have stuff go forward after that in season 8. I'm super confused. I'll just put this out here now because we probably won't mention it again, because it's more, I think it makes more sense with Arrows. They do have the CW upfronts. I think it's tomorrow or the day after. And I'm hoping they just give us some idea as to when Crisis is happening.
Do you mean like when it's airing, or chronologically in the shows?
Well, not chronologically, like when it actually air. Like, is it going to be episode 8, or is it going to be episode 1 and 2 for the seasons? Like, what are they going to do? Yeah, that's the only thing I'm interested in. But in regards to how it ended, like that shot where I think you had everyone there, and then slowly people left. Then eventually it was just OTA, or like Diggle, Felicity, and Oliver. Then both of them left, and that was just Oliver, and like the bunker shuts down. That's like the perfect series finale for a show where the hero's been there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So with like Gotham and Smallville and stuff, where it's the birth of that hero and they're officially that hero at the end, it makes sense that they have the big hero moment where like they, you know, for Gotham, it's him standing on a ledge with the Batman suit, or Smallville, it's, you know, revealing the Superman emblem and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But for this, I think that's like would have been the perfect ending for the series. So what? I'm excited for it, but also sort of like, is it going to be overkill? Because I don't know what they're going to do. And I did mention it in a video I did this morning before Flash came out.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of that would be cool and different, and not like, oh god, I have to go through 8 episodes of this to watch a Crisis, do I? God, nothing's happening. Is if they basically make it that Oliver's working for the Monitor, because he left with Felicity. If he left there at the end, it's not like Monitor was like, oh, you can chill here for another couple of days and I'll come get you. He left, and then when Felicity was crying. So, what's he doing straight after that? You know.
Do you think there's going to be a time travel element to it? Because the only reason I say that is because Arrow went so far ahead in their timeline compared to the other shows. It almost feels like with the birth of their child, think about where that would put them right now, timeline wise. It would be like December or January, right? I mean,
well, yeah, because usually the shows have like I think they usually say it's about a 5-month time jump in between seasons, maybe 6. Arrow went 9 because Felicity was about 6 months or maybe 7 months away from from giving birth, and then you see the first couple of months of that baby's life.
Right.
So they're at least at minimum 9 months away, but they could be like 10 or 11 months ahead from where we left, and they were in line with with Flash, roughly. So it's going to be interesting to see where they pick up. Like as I said, like they've still got stuff to explain as well, like the Connor Hawke stuff that leads into the future. I thought they were going to do that this episode, and they don't really. All they really set up is that Connor went to the same safe house that Lila and John Jr. were in.
Right.
And when they did that, I thought he was going to die at that point, but then he didn't die. So I was like, okay, interesting. So I don't know. And then the Ninth Circle's still out there, hasn't been taken down. So,
but it seems weird for them to still be out there when we've officially closed down the bunker. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they officially closed it down, but then Diggle says to Felicity that she'd keep the bunker warm or something, hinting that he would still be using it.
That seems weird because Oliver gave us a break of the fourth wall when he was like looking directly at us when the lights were down in the bunker. So it felt like that should honestly, I don't want to see it again. Like now that we've done that, I don't want to see it again. As a fan,
over. Yeah. I had that. Honestly, I would have rather the bunker never came back because it felt sort of forced when it came back.
Because it tied into the future stuff. That's the only reason why.
Yeah, that's the only reason. It just felt really forced. Like if anything, it would have been good if they went to the bunker and it was sort of destroyed from when Diaz did the thing. Or Diaz and Laurel, I guess, did that whole thing the season before. So I think we talked about that. I thought it's a bit forced. But anyway, I guess it provided a cool shot with the bunker closing. Right. But hopefully they do something cool. The only issue is if it is just Oliver doing, say, like working for the Monitor and like multiverse jumping, maybe recruiting heroes, which is the best way to go about it. I'm sorry.
I honestly think it's the only way to go about it. Like, I don't think there's any other way to do it.
I don't think it's necessarily the only way. It's the only good way. Don't get me wrong. There is some terrible ways. Well, not terrible, but just like, well, that's not very interesting.
We're going to talk about that in a second because I think there's some stuff that we could talk about in terms of that. But I want to do the super chats we have real quick. So Latin Shark 956 says that Pagey's waifu is dead. $2 super chat.
All right, both of them.
Yeah.
Nora and Emiko. Yeah. God.
All right.
RIP the dream.
Thank you for the super chat. Victor D. Chinchilla with a 1999 super chat. Thank you so much for the support. Is social media affecting shows? Are networks changing things and rushing episodes at the last minute due to what people want? That's a good question. That's a general question. I feel like we can answer it here before we dive into the rest because I do think it's a valid thing to ask. I think it's the opposite. I feel like a lot of what they're doing is the complete opposite of what fans want. Like, I feel like some of the stuff we've seen, it's particularly in Arrow and Flash this season, are like worst case scenario things of like, if I were to sit down and go, these are the things that I didn't want, and I would have made a list of those, a lot of the stuff that we got would have been like in the top 5. And the only reason I say that is because everything felt like if it was the easiest way to answer the question or end a storyline without giving too much detail, that's what they were doing. They were very lazy, I feel like, and they rushed through a lot of things. I know Arrow, and this is not directly related to social media, and there's been a little bit of confusion about it. I've looked it up. I can't seem to find a direct answer, but Emily Bett, a lot of people are saying that she probably told them way in advance that she was leaving, whereas a lot of people believe that when she announced it on social media, it was very shortly after she had told the writers and producers and everything. So I'm a little bit confused there, because talking about social media influencing it, Victor, I think that stuff that the actors want on the show probably have a bigger impact on what happens, well more than social media. What do you think about that? I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, but also with the whole Emily thing, there's people that because I mentioned it in my review, and I think I mentioned in my comments and stuff, people trying to debate, and I was like, it's so blatantly obvious from watching the finale that this wasn't meant to be their finale. Like, that was not meant to be what they wanted to do. That first half where Emiko randomly turns good and then is killed by Beatrice, whatever her name was, started with a B. Beatrice, whoever the hell that was.
Did we ever see her? I went back to look. I don't think we ever saw her this season. I think that was the first time.
Yeah, it was. Someone tried to mention that, like, I think that Black Siren mentioned her, and I was like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is just literally a random. Even if it was, like, what does she have to do with the Night Circle? Well, so is Black. You know what I mean? So
you can't, like, this is something that a lot of people would say, oh, they can do that. They could drop something here and then bring it up later or whatever. If something is that important, you can't make it an offhand comment in episode 3 and then decide to bring it back in episode 22. That doesn't work for me. And I feel like if you're writing a series that has a 22, 23 episode run and you have like 3 breaks in the middle, then you need to make sure that we remember why something is a thing. You can't introduce it really early and then wait all the way to the end and do it again. That was kind of like with the Mark of 4. I felt like that was rushed as well, because it was like, oh crap, we forgot to answer with the Mark of 4 thing. This is the last chance we have to do it, is in this episode, because it was so on the nose. And also in this finale, there was a lot of stuff that the actors said that I think was for fans, that was not for the people on screen. There was a couple lines that Oliver said. There was a couple lines that Diggle said in the episode where I'm like, are they talking to each other or are they talking to us? It was like really bad writing. I think the one that stood out to me was where Diggle, and I think you said this in your review, where he was like, oh, we don't have enough time to do this. I'm like, they know that. The people that are with you already know that. Why are you saying that? Even we could surmise that from what we were looking at on the screen. There's like 8 of you and there's like 50 of these things on the map. It was just, God, I was so disappointed with the way that went down.
Yeah, like, I guess, yeah, I don't know, like that. People having a go at me like that I was being too critical on, is like, that was like me generally being disappointed, because I think it also carried it from like how they did the Emiko story in like the previous 4 episodes or something, where, or even like the past like 2 or 3, where like she broke that point where she could be redeemed, where when Oliver where she turns good or something like that towards the end, just didn't feel like it was not necessarily deserved, but it wasn't warranted. You know what I mean? Like, the story didn't warrant that ending.
Yeah.
So like this finale, so let's just say, I reckon this finale is basically that first half but just spread out, and there is something different with Emiko, and maybe something else happens with the Ninth Circle, but because of what happened where Emily wanted to leave, they had to basically turn the last 20 minutes 25 minutes into it
literally was like the last 20-25 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, like, did someone blame Stephen Amell? It's not Stephen Amell's fault. And I don't even think it's necessarily, it's part, if you wanted to blame an actor or an actor, it could be Emily. But even then, the writers should be good enough to be able to write around that, and not, or I don't know, they were sort of stuck between, like, I think the term I use, like, it was unfortunate circumstance.
Let me tell you, this is why when you take a character like Felicity, someone who is a love interest character who has very minor things to do in a series, and you turn her into a huge portion of the series where she's literally like the second lead, and then she decides to leave, this is like the kind of stuff of nightmares for these guys, for writers and directors and producers, because she has literally been so intertwined with Oliver that it's hard to imagine her leaving the show without Oliver following her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if this wasn't the last season, they would be screwed right now. They would be totally screwed.
It was sort of like, to add salt to the wound, she was pregnant as well.
Yeah.
So they had to tie in they had to like finish off that pregnancy thing as well.
So
in an episode.
So and if this had been done earlier, they could have done this. They could have started setting this up like 8 episodes before the finale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I thought last episode they quickly, Elena says like a line about, oh, you have to get out of the city, and I thought that was going to tie into it.
Yeah.
But when you look at the finale, it has nothing to do with why they left.
Not at all.
Emiko is the reason that they left. If Emiko didn't tell them, then they probably would have been killed. Or Felicity would have been hunted down harder because there's a contract over their heads.
Yeah.
So, as I said, it's unfortunate because we all know that Arrow had a killer first half. Really, there was no like trip ups, maybe like little stumbles, like, oh, my foot, I hurt my toe. That's about it.
Even the worst episodes of Arrow this season were worse because they just didn't do something well. You know what I mean? They weren't just inherently bad episodes. We didn't start getting these really odd things until like the last stretch, like the last 4 or 5 episodes where things just felt either rushed or a huge misstep from the writers. You know?
Yeah, and I think we all agree. I'm not sure if people in the chat agree, but I've talked to you and some other people. We think that Emiko, there was meant to be a different person at the end. I don't think Emiko was meant to be this force until this late in the season. I don't know where they were initially going to go. I'm starting to think, because we've all praised Beth Schwartz this season, I still do praise her because there are bits where I'm pretty sure it's her influence, but like Guggenheim was the one that set up the prison storyline, and he had an input. I think he is the major driver behind that prison storyline. Maybe not necessarily what happened at the end, but he's definitely the one that set it up and planted the seeds. And really after that, that's when the rails started to come off, especially when it obviously felt like they changed the Emiko story halfway through, at least around maybe episode 13 or 14, around then. Maybe it was the scene, maybe it was the episode, the 150th episode, might have been around that, where it just felt like they just changed what they wanted to do with the character.
I remember there was a certain person who complained about what they were doing with Emiko much earlier, and I was like, this is not looking good. And many people were like, you know, oh, just wait. And they did not stick the landing with Emiko. They didn't. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe they will. We didn't know enough at the time, you know?
Yeah, it was me. I was a genius. I saw it from like 20 miles.
So let's do some of these super chats. Ash Berry with the $5 super chat says, I feel bad for C. Shamuka because the writers obviously had a plan for her, but threw under the bus to give Emily Bett a good send-off. I'm not going to disagree with that. I 100% agree that I almost feel like she was probably going to have a bigger role. I'll be honest with you. I thought she was going to be in season 8. I thought
she would have been. I reckon she would have been. Because the death felt random. It didn't feel like it was needed. And the death was there so she could be like, oh, Oliver, I'm dying. Oh, by the way, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
Why is she randomly Italian or French? I don't know. But
yeah, they're going after your family, everybody you love. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, so.
Speaking of, let's segue into that really quick before we move on to the next super chat. Can anybody explain either, and I mentioned this in my review, either Emiko was really bad at what she was doing, or she was a liar, or the writers forgot. William is like one city over with his grandparents. And if anybody's going after Oliver's family, the first and easiest target would be William. It's not like they don't know about him. He was very visible in the public eye. It wouldn't take them long to track him down. So the whole idea that William would just be MIA while his mother and sister or half sister and father are living in this cabin, couldn't they just go get him and say, hey, he's in danger, he needs to come with us? Like, he would be a huge like sitting duck with his grandparents.
The only thing I can think of is that at that point, maybe the Ninth Circle is, you know, when they're having that conversation, maybe the Ninth Circle is sort of on its way down, maybe, because they never mentioned in the future.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that in the future, it feels like William never had any contact from his family at all, which means that the Ninth Circle never went after him, right? But
yeah,
what sense does that make? If this is where the Ninth Circle story ends and we're not going to pick it up in next season, then he would have been the perfect target for the Ninth Circle, because he would have been the one kid, the outlier, that didn't have any protection at all.
Oh, well, it mattered what the contract was for as well.
Yeah, it does, but you would think that they...
And we don't know that.
Right, we don't know.
It could just be Oliver and Felicity. Like, they could say, don't kill anyone with the last name Queen unless it's Oliver Queen or Felicity Smoke.
That seems
if
like...
anyone else, contract is void.
Based on Emiko, I just don't see... she knew that William was his kid. You know what I mean? I don't see it. I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like they left that out and didn't. I think
it's just a grey area because you don't know necessarily what the contract was because it's once again it was rushed and wasn't really gone into detail.
Another super chat from the Omega $4.99. Thank you so much. So if Diaz worked for the Ninth Circle and Emiko was the leader, does that mean all of season 6 and 7 were part of Emiko's plan? Technically, everything that's happened has been because of, even Oliver said that. Like, she basically let their father die, which started the chain of events. If you think about it, almost every single one of Oliver's villains has had a connection to Oliver in one way or another. So technically, she's been responsible for just about everything that's happened because of what she did. If you think about it,
yeah.
As far as like Diaz and stuff, I don't think. See, this is the problem with the Emiko character, and this is what we've talked about before. I don't think she was intended to really be the leader of the Ninth Circle. I think they decided to move forward with that towards the end. Because do you think so? No, I was gonna say because I still feel like Dante was not meant to be killed. That he was going to manipulate her all the way to the end of the season. That's what I thought.
Yeah. So my thoughts are on it. If I think back to what's happened this season and what they're going to do with Emiko, I think Emiko was still going to be responsible for Robert, and I think it was going to be a burden on her that she could have prevented her father's death, and also what happened to Oliver had started this cycle of violence. She could have been the one that prevented that, and it was a mini arc for Oliver to get over that. But that would have been not mid-season, sorry, like mid-back half. So episode 15, 16, 17, somewhere around that. And then that leads into like a 5-episode last couple of arc where someone else is the threat, tied in Ninth Circle, whether it's Dante or Banana Jim or Jimmy Bob, whoever that is.
Right.
Because it is important to remember, because I saw people complain, like, what's this cycle of violence? Why are they bringing this up, eh? Like, where'd that come from? It started all in the prison stuff. Remember when Oliver's with that dude, that doctor? That's the cycle of violence.
Yeah,
I mentioned that
in my review. I said that was like the whole thing was we were going after that cycle of violence. That was kind of the theme of the whole season if you think about it. So
they forget about it for a while. So there's a massive chunk where it's not brought up.
Right.
And it feels weird because they did a focus on that. There's an episode basically focused on that. And Oliver overcoming that.
Yeah,
and
I think it was like, episode 4, 3 or 4, somewhere around there that did it? Was that the one you're thinking about?
When did he get out of prison? Episode 7?
Yeah, I think it was like 3 or 4. It was maybe 4.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, something like that. But they focus on that, and you think, okay, well, that's interesting. But there's a massive focus on it, so it's a central theme to the season.
Right.
But then it's gone for 15, 16 episodes.
Yeah.
Until it's brought up again.
And
So
which is why a lot of people felt like, hey, where's this coming from? Because we haven't heard this or whatever.
So really it feels like that was meant to be planted then, and then it was meant to sprout when we find the source for that cycle of violence or the person responsible for it, which is Emiko, and then they tied into her backstory, and her backstory is technically connected to Oliver's backstory, and this massive family thing. But she is still a part of the Ninth Circle, and then there's a redemption sort of thing where she doesn't do anything overly evil. Sure, she's working for the bad guys at that point, but she's doing it to, solve her mother's murder. She's, basically what Oliver exposes her for at the end, which Emiko maybe knew herself, but just wasn't, accepting.
Right.
See,
she didn't cross the line for me until the penultimate episode. That was where the line was crossed.
You got to remember, we're just people that watch these shows and talk about it on YouTube, but we know how this season should have gone. I don't know what they were thinking, and that's why I don't hate what they did.
Right.
I'm really disappointed with what they did. That's probably the best thing because
it pained me to talk about the show the way I did in my review. I really didn't want to talk about it that way because it has been strong this season. So,
and you can tell most of the people on the show care about it. You can tell that it feels like they care about it, which sometimes with Flash, it doesn't feel like they care about it. It's just like, oh no, we're the top rating CW show. We can do whatever we want. We'll get away with it. But on Arrow, and it just feels like they do care about it. And
well, I don't know. That end scene with Stephen Amell and Felicity, I really felt from Stephen Amell's point that the emotions were real because he's losing this character, this person that he's become really close with, that he's worked with for like 7 years now, that she's leaving. He's coming back without her. I honestly feel like that was his real, genuine feelings about that, and it came across on screen. And I think they did a great job of portraying that, but I mean, did we really need to lose the whole story from the season for that last 20 minutes? I mean,
no. I'm sort of. Honestly, I'll probably do a video on this and try and break it down. God knows how long it's going to be on what the season, how the season I think what they were going to do, because I know why they would introduce that cycle of violence theme, focus on it for heaps, have Oliver broken down into inmate 4587, and then he didn't quickly overcome it. He just overcame it, but it felt like it was still a thing within him.
Yeah.
But it never came out until episode 20?
Right.
Weird. And
I feel like, and this was in my notes here, and once we get towards the end of our discussion, I'll pull up my notes to see if we missed anything. But I feel like my constant reminder that Emiko's early storyline made it seem like even though she was going after her mother's killer, she didn't want to be around Team Arrow. She was wearing the Arrow suit, which was more obvious than wearing a ninja outfit, which she could have done and got away with. She was also doing good things, though. The people that she was going after were bad people. It wasn't like she was attacking people who were good people that she just was like, oh, you might be connected to my mother. I'm going to kill you anyway, whether you're good or bad. Like, she legitimately was going after bad people. Sure, she was like taking their money from their Bitcoins and stuff like that or whatever. But all of that makes sense considering she was having to, like, you know, come up with her own weapons and supply all of her own stuff and all of this, that, and the other. It wasn't until that flip where we found out that she was working under Dante, which is what it seemed like, or she was connected to Dante, where that first half of her story almost became inconsequential. You know what I mean? Like, they never explained that. They never really explained that. Surely that beginning part was not trying to ruin his legacy, because I feel like there's no way that's what it was. There's no way that's what it could have been. It doesn't make any sense. At the end, yes. Yeah. At the end, it does. I get it. But at the beginning, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like that, you know?
Yeah. It should have... I reckon because when was the episode where we find out the origin... We see her flashbacks?
16 or 17? Isn't that right? Somewhere around there? I can't remember. See, they all kind of blur together for me at the end. I think it was like 16 or 17.
It might have been 14.
It was like in the middle there, yeah. I mean,
it was around the 150th episode.
Yeah.
Because, as you're saying, that first half, it just feels like she's doing all that. And she could still be connected to the Ninth Circle, but she shouldn't be any high position. She should just be this, like, almost like a mercenary, or just what she was doing as, if she was working with Dante while she was younger, just this lowly, thing, well, not thing, but lowly, like, just person that does odd jobs, or, she's sneaky in his train, can do certain things. But then they took her in this, like, oh, she's, the leader and everything like that. But they could have had her where she was low. She had her suspicions about who murdered her mother and stuff. And she's just being a mole within the Ninth Circle, essentially, or just being someone that was writing.
I'll say this. I think her story was confusing. I think that her story wasn't well put together. I think it could have worked. What they did could have worked. But like you said, it felt like they flipped a switch in the middle and decided to do something different. And so
it's almost like one person started the story and another person who hadn't read the first half of the story ended it.
Right. So see you later, Dr. Cringe. Let's answer some of these super chats here. Ganger Venom with a $2 super chat. He said, "This was the most emotional I've been since 1X23." So you're talking about Arrow episode 23. Did you feel that? Was it emotional for you? I know a lot of people said that. There were emotional parts, but I don't think the whole thing for me was emotional. I think seeing the bunker shut down, all of that, I thought that was emotional.
Well, for me, it wasn't emotional because I knew it wasn't the end. We knew there was going to be 10 episodes in season 8.
Right.
Like, the only thing I thought, okay, this is fairly decent, was the Felicity and Oliver stuff. But that's about it. Like, the bunker shutting down stuff didn't. But even then, with the Felicity and Oliver stuff, it didn't hit me because I was so frustrated with the middle of the episode.
Right.
Because I felt they've ruined a proper. Because me, all I want a show to be is consistent.
Right.
And it's actually finished what it sets up, and they didn't get to do that because it was basically like, oh crap, we got 20 minutes to fit 40 minutes worth of stuff in, just cram it in quickly. Quick fight scenes. Convenient things that happen to allow things to move on quickly, and then all the stuff that happened after felt really slow. Like it's slow. The pacing was terrible on the episode. It was either bang 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 or Turtles pace, and then bang 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 or like then a sloth shows up and takes over.
Yeah.
So
right.
It was the pacing was really bad.
Yeah. I will say that I did the scene between Felicity and Oliver would have hit me more if we didn't have that music blaring.
That music was terrible. When people got triggered to the max when I said the music ruined it because I felt like Riverdale. I was like, no, it didn't. It was really good. I looked up the music. I downloaded it onto my iTunes. I'm like, good for you, but it was still terrible.
Yeah.
You must watch Riverdale.
All right, we got another super chat here from Amir, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Amir. He says, we see in the flash forwards Oliver seems to be alive despite seeing his grave. Could something have changed for him during Crisis, or maybe his body just died and his consciousness in a different plane? So I have a few theories about what happens to Oliver. I think what the monitor says is true. I think that there is a future where Oliver dies that he's seen. But we don't know the extent of the monitor's ability to discern the future. Like, we know that Gideon does a good job of say a good job. Gideon has the ability to track changes and things like that. We don't know if the monitor can do that. We know that he can travel the multiverse, but when it comes to time travel, I don't know for sure. So I have some theories about what I think is going to happen to Oliver. I don't think he's actually going to die. I don't think so. I think we'll get an emotional death from Oliver Queen, but I don't think Oliver Queen's going to actually die. I think there's some other stuff going on. What do you think about that? Do you think this is a misdirect with the show?
Well, I think they're probably, because I don't think Oliver's going to be the only hero that dies in Crisis. He's going to be the only main hero that dies.
Right.
There's going to be, I think, there'll be other heroes we've met in the past or ones that we meet throughout the crossover that will die in Crisis, because it seems weird that only Oliver would die. You think other people would die as well. So I think there will be this, the monitor will allow them to not just be dead. There'll be an afterlife, whether it is this the paradise dimension or something from the comics, which is where most likely Felicity went.
Yeah.
At the end of last episode. I think it'd be something like that. And then it wouldn't surprise me if Crisis is episode 9, let's just say that. And then episode 10 of Arrow, we have Oliver's funeral, where I'm hoping they do it, where it is basically Death of Superman style, where all the heroes show up there in their costumes to his funeral, because it's Green Arrow's funeral. That'd be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But then we'll have almost an epilogue where it is Oliver in this afterlife, and then maybe Felicity joins him. Mm-hmm. And then maybe we see certain other things like that. Because Oliver's died in the comics, and there was this heavenly space that he went to. Yeah. Funnily enough, it was written by Kevin Smith as well, the comic. And then he's it's actually, they wouldn't do that on the show because it's stupid. But anyway, and then you see this different afterlife sort of thing. But I don't think they'll do that. It'd probably be this paradise dimension, because that's actually in the Crisis comic or the story. So I don't know. That's probably what they're going to do. But I don't think he'll be the only one that actually dies. Maybe they'll bring back Wally just to die.
Yeah. Frank says the Ninth Circle said they didn't sign on for a family vendetta, so why would they still be after Oliver's family? I think that Emiko probably has some loyalists within the Ninth Circle that would still follow her orders or would do some work for her. You have to remember, the Ninth Circle, from what we understand now, I think, isn't just one organization. It's an organization with an umbrella effect. You have leader and then a bunch of sub leaders or generals or whatever, and then you have the people that work for them. So I think that if she's got some loyalists within the Ninth Circle who have contracts out, that seems to be the way they operate, then it doesn't matter if it's personal or not. If the contract,
or it could be an example of maybe it's people like the Longbow Hunters, mercenaries that are on the contract as well, who aren't necessarily a part of the Ninth Circle but have that contract.
Yeah.
So it could be similar mercenary groups like the Longbow Hunters.
So Ash, with another $5 super chat, thank you so much. He says the writers only cared about setting up a Star City 2040 spinoff to save their jobs, so they stopped caring about everything else. That's a good. Let's go ahead and talk a little about the future scenes very briefly, because I really felt like it was really bad in this episode. Mia, I would say Mia was the worst thing about the future scenes. I could have dealt with anybody else, Zoe, William, Dinah, but Mia was just the worst for me.
She can't act, and it's just bad character. It's a shit character with bad acting.
Right.
The character isn't interesting. William's probably the most interesting young, if you want to get a young character.
And then he stuffed it up in the last episode. Yeah, the last 2 episodes actually.
That's Will T wrote it. That spin-off, if it happens, I'll be shocked. I'd be shocked if it happened. I don't think it will happen. It's just like, yeah, nah. It'll ruin Arrow. It'll ruin Arrow.
It would. If that show ends up being the legacy of Arrow the series, that would be pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Yeah, don't do it.
All right,
don't do it.
So another super chat here as we're going through to try and get through these Arrow questions. Laura E with the $2 super chat says next season could cover the Diggle storyline. That's a good segue into the Bronze Tiger thing. So we thought Bronze Tiger, who by the way was the dopest person in the fight scenes in this finale. I mean, other than the fight between Oliver and Emiko, which had some cool cinematography to it, you could see where the real martial artist was, and that was in Bronze Tiger. His scenes were really good.
It's sick that Michael Jai White actually does his stunts.
Oh yeah, definitely. He was amazing.
That's the coolest thing when he comes onto the show and actually gets.
I wish that they could have made. You know what I would have really liked now that I think about it is if he followed Oliver out of that prison storyline and became like sort of a member of the team. I know that he kills people with his claws, so that's very similar. This is a segue here, by the way, to the Marvel universe. This is why I think Wolverine would be a hard character to make a good guy, because just like Bronze Tiger, their weapons they slash, they cut, they stab. They're not. There's no way to make those non-lethal weapons. You know what I mean?
It's like you can shoot a foot or something.
Yeah. So seeing him, I guess it would be hard to put him on the good guys team, but he was great. He was great.
Or trick claws.
Yeah. Hey Jordy Z, how are you? You said he got an ad. Wow, they didn't do it to us yet. It hasn't happened. So the Diggle storyline, he didn't die. Bronze Tiger didn't die, which means that we do have to, I would think, follow up the Bronze Tiger storyline.
Well, it's important to remember this, as I said, that this time jump. Who knows what's happened in this time jump?
Yeah,
he could have died off screen in the time jump.
Do you think? Let's just go ahead and say this now. What if next season we see Oliver traveling with the Monitor, but the rest of the series is about the side characters in Star City? Like all the rest of next season. What if that's what they do?
Did we not watch Arrow? Did we not watch post mid-season of Arrow season 3?
Yeah.
Did we not watch that? It sucked.
It did, but I have a feeling that's what they could possibly do, because we know we're getting the flash forwards again.
It's a no from me. Big NO.
Thank you for the super chat, Laura. I appreciate it. Omega with the 199 super chat says, what is the... In our opinion, I guess, what is the Anti-Monitor going to look like? I'm assuming... Here's my thing. If we're going to go with the big, huge comic book version with like the energy inside of the armor look, I think we'll barely see him. He'll probably show up at the very end of the crossover. If they go with something a bit more grounded, it will probably be the same actor playing him. Because you guys have to remember, the Anti-Monitor in the comics looks that way, but technically, the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor are both the Monitor. One's the positive universe, one's the negative universe. So they could easily just take the same actor, put a different helmet on him, put some special effects on him, and make him the Anti-Monitor. That would probably be the cheapest thing for them to do. I would like to see the one from the comics, but I don't think we're going to get that for the whole crossover. What do you think? You think we'll get the big like CGI one or no?
I'm just trying to think of past examples on the show of what they've done for suits. I think you could do like, it looked weird, but they could do it like it is in the comics, where it is just this big, maybe like just a big metal suit, and then like post CGI they add just energy pulsing out of it.
I mean, they did have the Savitar suit. They could build something similar to the Savitar suit.
Yeah,
the proper.
I don't think
it'd
be too hard. It's just more like, how big is he?
Yeah,
that's the big issue. Like, he can't just be the size of the Monitor. He probably has to be a bit bigger.
Yeah, I would think so.
If not much bigger. So
right.
That's probably the big question.
Yeah. Huh. We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll get some teases for it soon. The upfronts will probably give us a poster for Crisis, I would think, but wait and see.
We want the Iris West spinoff.
Right
Give
now.
it to us, CW upfronts.
Right now.
If I don't get it tomorrow, we're riding. Live stream. We're
going to start a change.org petition right now.
Iris West matters. We need the spin-off side characters of Cecile's stripper daughter and who's the other? Let's chuck in Ralph in there just for some misogyny and some drama. Okay, there we go. Season 4 Ralph. Early season 4 Ralph, sorry. I like Ralph. He's a good
Early
character.
season 4 Ralph, you mean the worst version of him?
Yeah, the misogynist Ralph.
Right. Okay. Good.
Ralph with misogyny in his blood.
See, there's somebody
and pre-powers.
Oh,
Pre-powers.
okay,
He doesn't have his powers.
All right.
Okay, so
I think that's going a bit too far. So, Anti Monitor says they can keep him CGI like a Mazo. I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do a whole. They'd have to do it for the whole thing. I just don't see that.
I'm trying to think. We can't just have 3 characters in the spin-off. We need more. Can't just have Iris, Cecile, stripper daughter, and Ralph, pre-powers and misogyny.
Elena, Mia.
Honestly, Mia can be the villain.
She would actually make a pretty good villain. That'd be for sure.
Still wouldn't be able to act.
Some people were saying they'd like to see the girl that's playing Mia play Batwoman instead of Ruby Rose. So it's like, no, please don't.
Maxwell. There we go. Maxwell Lord, another side character.
Yeah.
Tracy Brand will bring in there. She can be the smart person. And for one last character, we will have drum roll. Can't think of anyone who's a crap character from Arrow that we can bring in that was there in present day.
Renee?
No, there's someone. Artemis, she was terrible as well. So there she goes.
So
Artemis
you were going for the absolute worst. No Cupid? Like
no. She can be Artemis's like enemy in the show. You know what I mean?
Oh God.
Okay, so I think that's the
cast. That's a spinoff. That's the spinoff. Okay.
That's a spinoff. If we're gonna get it this season, CW.
Okay.
Look,
we'll be
starting. I'll give you time.
We'll do a change.org for it for sure.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Donna Smoke's going to be the showrunner. Yeah.
Donna Smoke is the showrunner? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. App Lifestyle with the $5 super chat. Sup, Eric? Do you think that I guess the lady that killed Emiko is Lady Shiva from the Green Arrow comics? I hope not. I would hope that's not her.
That's that plot twist when Lady Shiva's real name is Beatrice.
Yeah, I mean I really, really, really hope not. Yeah, that would not be good. I would not be down for that. I mean, they could do it. It's not they can't. I hope that they don't. I just don't see it at all.
By the way, we didn't give the premise of the spin-off show. It's not working at CCP. What's the CCCN? Whatever it's called. It's basically Charlie's Angels. But with Iris.
Okay.
So, think Girls' Night Out, but worse.
I would definitely not be watching that show. I can't do another Girls' Night Out. Not even for one more episode. Okay. Mick Twiz, $5 super chat. Do you feel Crisis, not just Arrow, but all the shows, is going to overshadow or set up each show's big bad? I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the big bad. I'd be really surprised for each individual show. As far as overshadow, I think there's a high probability that it might. I don't think there's a lot those shows can do at the beginning of the season that people aren't going to be going, is that for Crisis? Is that for Crisis? I mean, we're already doing it now. So, yeah. I'm curious to see exactly which shows are going to be included. Are we going to include Batwoman? Yeah. Are we going to include Black Lightning? Is this going to be like that big, or is it going to be just the same 3 shows again?
And it also depends when it is. We still don't know when. Like, I think just because Arrow's got 10 episodes, I think we all assume it's going to be in episode 9 of the shows.
Right. It could be episode 5. It could be episode 4.
It could be episode... Yeah, because I've seen people go, they need to make it... All the seasons, it's all Crisis. So episode 1 of Flash is Crisis, and then... But that means you end up with, like, 27 parts of Crisis. And I'm like, have you read the story? And it can honestly be done in 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Easily. If not 3. Crisis on Earth X was drawn out heaps. And with the cast and the story and stuff... You can easily do it in 3 or 4 episodes. It's not hard, as long as there's not filler. Right. And really, there's not going to be a wedding that takes up the first episode. You know? And even then...
It also depends what the actual plan for Oliver is. Like, what the actual Monitor's plan for Oliver is going to be.
Yeah. And generally what the Anti-Monitor does as well.
Right. All right, so it's going to be interesting. I think that pretty much covers everything for the Arrow finale. So, you guys in the chat... Give your score 1 to 10. What did you think of the Arrow finale? You have saved the city. Give your score. I'm curious to see what people think. 1 to 10. 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Review.
Arist West spinoff.
6 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Wow. 7, 7, 2, 6, 4, 7, 11 plus out of 10. Mia Can't Act out of 10. Oh, interesting. First 45 minutes, 5 out of 10. Last 15 minutes, 8 out of 10. Okay. 1,000 out of 10. 3 out of 10. That's being nice. Well, I hate to see you being mean then. Somebody's telling Giovanni to stop trolling. That's funny.
Don't think that's possible.
All right. So we're going to move over and talk about everybody's favorite show. By the way, before we talk about this, this is just my thoughts. If I had to say between Arrow and Flash, I think that Arrow had the best season. I think the Flash finale was a little bit better than Arrow's.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Okay. Agreed.
All right. Click OK. Pull this up.
Well, Urban Noise, you wrote it's ironic that Oz saved the season finale, but you got to remember it's the reason that the season finale was bad in the first half. Like that's the reason that the first half was so rushed and bad is because they had to cram it.
Yeah. Flash season 5 sucked, but his finale was great. I wouldn't say great. That's too far for me personally. But I will say it was the more entertaining of the two. But I think that's because when Flash can't get stuff right, they can at the very least be entertaining. And that's
because it's visually pleasing.
Right.
Or you have a couple of characters that pull it.
Right. So before we jump into it, because if you guys got any Flash super chats, get them ready, because that's what we're going to be talking about now. The title of this episode was Legacy, and I actually think that title was 1,000% appropriate. I feel like it fit the whole episode.
For multiple characters.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, Grant Gustin, I'm calling you out. The chin strap never came back. I was waiting for that chin strap to come back. It never came back. It's trolling us with that. 100% trolling us. Do you think they're going to adjust that next season? I know it's jumping ahead, but I feel like they have to do something about it. Like
the chin strap?
Yeah.
Well, he said at Comic-Con over the weekend that it would be probably next season.
Okay. Good. All right. Okay, so let's start off.
Mainly because I don't think he likes the photos because it makes his head look weird.
It does, because it looks like a helmet you wear for riding a bike or a skateboard.
Yeah,
or something.
and his chin and top of his neck is too exposed, and it doesn't work. It looks really
all they
weird.
have to do is add a clip to that helmet and put fabric from the chin to the neck, and that's it. That's all they have to do.
Yeah,
really
or even make it just a literal strap if they need to.
Yeah.
Even if it wouldn't look good. But then again, I wish it was like Captain America's helmet. But it shouldn't be a helmet. Anyway, whatever, let's move on. I'm going to get an aneurysm.
Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to go with the notes here the best we can because I'm trying to stay on pace here. The cicada story was wrapped up so quickly and so sloppy. I just was like, wait a minute. Is it really like both finales wrapped up their big bads within the first 25 minutes of the episode? Did it feel really fast to you? It felt fast to me. I was like, this is crazy how quickly this is going.
Yeah, I think Flash had the advantage of where they did a lot of it last week.
Yeah. Where
they really tried to push their plan. And then, because honestly, in past seasons, what the Flash did in its past 2 episodes would, if Reverse Flash wasn't there, what happened with Cicada in last episode and this episode would just be in the finale, most likely.
Yeah. Because
really her plans failed and then she just went to this backup plan. But really, I think the time sphere thing was just a thing this is her next aim. I don't think it needed to be in the episode.
I honestly thought if they decided, I was watching for that because you know how triggered I get about the time sphere. I was watching for that and I was like, if she actually does, fair enough, it never happened, but she did say it. But if she would have traveled and there would have been no explanation for it, I would have been like, immediately a point would have come off of my score for that. Absolutely. Because I'm so over that. This is why people get confused, because they introduce their own rules for how things work and they just forget them. The time sphere does not have a time drive in it. It requires someone to either open a portal or to be dragged along by something else. You can't just Like a speedster opens it up and pulls it in into the Speed Force that way. That's the only way you can do it. It doesn't have a time drive. Just saying that, by the way. What did you think about the way they wrapped up the older Grace, younger Grace story? Because I felt like I was a little bit confused with that, because they gave her the cure, but then the dagger that created the cure negated the cure. The cure came directly from the dark matter, from the dagger, right?
Yeah, but I think it was something like because the dagger was so powerful, it was able to counteract the cure. So that's what actually drew
her powers back, though. That's so weird.
But then that actually drew the energy out of the dagger.
It's just weird, though. It was very weird.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that.
They just said they quickly went through it.
Yeah, it was very strange to me. I was not. I think put it this way, I wasn't satisfied with the way Cicada's story was wrapped up. I feel like it was just way too many things that were not explained. Gosh, do I even want to dive into this? I feel like it's so daunting to talk about this episode. I liked the Ralph effect when he got hit with the mirror gun, where he looked like a Muppet. That was kind of cool. It was almost like, it felt like a Legends episode when he turned into that, because I was like, is he going to talk? Is he going to look like a puppet through the whole episode? What did you think about that? That he didn't get taken away into the mirror universe. He just his cells.
Well, isn't it because you meant to you fold in on yourself? But because he's malleable, he can't. It's impossible for him to do that.
Right. There's a folding effect that it gets when it does it.
Like it inverts you or something into this other dimension, but because of how his body's made up, he couldn't. It wasn't possible, which I thought was interesting. But I think what happened. We all knew it was going to happen. Ralph was going to jump in front of the mirror. So it was weird that was the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone, once Ralph started moving towards it, like, oh, he's going to jump in front of it, isn't he?
So this is my question. Since we know that that's what happens, that things fold in on themselves, I was very confused about what happened to future Grace. Did she disappear because of changes to time, or did she disappear because of the dagger?
The dagger was destroyed, which prevents her future self.
So,
and because her younger self was given the cure, but then the dagger reversed that. Right. She still exists, but once the dagger was destroyed, she ceased.
So we're settling on the fact that she was erased by time. Then is that what
Okay. I thought it might have been because she touched the mirror thing, but I looked at the effect again and it didn't match it, and she should have disappeared in a different way. She basically Eobard Thawne disappeared.
Right. That's what I was saying, because she would have folded in on herself.
How Savitar did in season 3.
Right. Right. So I guess that makes sense, I guess. Let's do some super chats real quick. We got a few of them. Ash with the $2 super chat. I legit laughed when Nora was erased. He laughed. He laughed at it. How dare you laugh at Nora being erased? How dare you, Ash? Thank you so much for the super chat. Ganger Venom with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Says Nora was a real big bad, changed my mind. Nora was her own worst enemy. I mean, we kind of saw that in this episode, everything, which is the legacy of the character, she literally time hacked herself, right? Is that what we're saying? She basically erased herself from time because of what she did.
Yeah, she bit of a noob, to be completely honest, but yeah. Didn't think it through.
Yeah. $5 super chat from MC Twiz says Iris West Island 2049 realizes why her daughter has been erased from existence. Loads up on V9 and embarks on a revenge mission on 2019 Team Flash. Okay, well, put on the purple jacket again, I guess, and head out. Are you ready for that? You ready for a Run Iris 1 Part 2 with the future Iris?
Do you really want me to answer that?
No, not at all. It's a totally rhetorical question. Mike Haram with the $2 super chat says Barry finally was the one to defeat the season big bad. No, he wasn't. He didn't. He shot the gun. But are we saying that Cicada was Cicada was the big bad? I would say that Eobard would have been the big bad because he orchestrated everything.
No, Cicada's still the big bad. Eobard's just a presence. He was more Nora's big bad.
So are we giving Barry the W for the season then? For winning? Are we giving the W for taking out Mike Horan?
Pretty much. But Cisco's really the MVP.
Oh, see, there we go. There we go. There it is. That is true. He did do that.
If he didn't breach through the mirror gun, then Barry would have watched his daughter get
Eobard was
stabbed
not
in
an
the head.
accessory. Eobard is never an accessory. He's either the big bad or someone up at the top. He's never just somebody's accessory. You saw that in Legion of Doom. He was not playing second fiddle to anybody. So Ash with another $2 super chat says, hopefully they adjust season 4 suit for season 6. I think we'll see an adjustment to the season 5 suit. I can't see them going back to season 4.
I'm fine with the season 5 suit, apart from the head. Like, in some angles, it looks really weird on Grant, especially when you look at him from the front, but on an angle, it looks good. And I think they'll, like that one that's on the screen right now.
Yeah.
I'm watching it through your playback where he's next to Nora. It looks good there, but there's an angle where like he's turning his head.
See, even that head with the cowl and everything, that looks okay there, but it's a very specific direction.
Angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, right there, it doesn't look too bad either. And the one that's on now that you'll see in a second. I think from certain shots when he's holding his head down, it looks okay. But the minute he moves his head to the left, the right, upwards, or anything like that, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And the back of it looks really bad. You'll notice they don't shoot the back of it because there's like a diamond-shaped piece that attaches to the back to hold it on, and it looks really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back over here and keep the pace here. Okay, so let's talk about the Thawne stuff in the future, because that kind of triggered me a little bit. I was really upset. Even Pagey was like, so what did you say? You said, am I having a bad day or something? Because I was so angry about it when it happened. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were like, are you okay or something? But first of all, I will say I love the jumpsuit with the burnt-in reverse dagger on it. I thought that looked really cool. So that was really good. And Thawne, basically that whole scene as a scene itself, just the Thawne scene there in the future with, Nora and Barry rushing in, all of that. I loved all of that stuff. Like, he could have been a little more vicious to the guard that was treating him bad, but I thought everything else was really, really good in that scene. What did you think about it? Did you like that scene? Did you think it was good, bad?
I thought it was good. And then, like, I couldn't have been the only one that thought their screen had frozen.
Yeah,
I couldn't have been the only one.
I actually thought something else was happening. I thought it was going to, I thought it was converting to another scene. Like we were going to see a mannequin or something. It was weird. I couldn't tell. Yeah,
and then as soon as I was like, oh, crap, Nora's reversing time, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That whole thing was sick. I thought it was really, really cool.
There were people that didn't like that part. About Nora.
I was like, what? What do you want about? That was sick. Like, that's... Nora reversing time has been a really inconsistent thing they've used this season, but that was the best way that they've used it.
Right. I think if they could have had her gone back a little bit further before the dagger disappeared, that would have made a little more sense, but it's whatever, I guess. Somebody's saying, shouldn't Barry's suit disappear now that Nora's gone? We're going to talk about that in a second, about stuff that should have disappeared. We'll talk about that in a minute. But speaking of stuff that shouldn't have disappeared as quickly, is in that scene that led up to Eobard getting out. There's a couple of things that I want to rage about or rant about or whatever. First of all, the dagger is the only thing we've seen so far that affected 2049 instantly. You know what I mean? Like, it was like that. The dagger disappeared. Technically, when they removed the dagger from the timeline, the changes should have started from that point on, which means Eobard would have not been locked up in prison with the dagger. Like, let's just be honest. That would have never happened. So, yes, the scene was cool. I feel like there was an error in that. I feel like that was a mistake. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with that or disagree with that? Or it was for dramatic effect, really, is what it was.
Dramatic effect, and we all knew it was going to happen. So that's why I didn't.
And I was trying to prepare myself for it, Pagey. I was trying to prepare myself because I was like, the one thing that I don't want to happen is going to happen. I know it's going to happen. The dagger is going to disappear and Eobard's going to break out. I knew it.
But I think I think there was no other way to get out of it, so I don't know what you were expecting.
But there's another problem with that scene. There's another problem with that scene. There's another one that nobody's mentioned.
What?
Okay? So you take Eobard from his cell with the dagger to a room where you're going to electrocute him, whatever you're going to do to him. He is the most deadly metahuman probably of that time, I would say. There weren't any other dampeners in that room at all to back up in case the dagger failed? None? Anywhere? In the ceilings? No dampeners?
Well, have you ever heard the term putting all of your eggs in one basket, young Eric?
Yes. And that's what they did.
And you know who does that?
Who?
amateurs. So obviously, the guards don't really deal with high thread level people.
But I'm thinking like that prison had those dampeners everywhere before. They don't have them anymore?
Nah, they lost the budget.
I just feel like that was so stupid. I was like, I love the scene, but who would take him in there? Because here's the thing. They don't know enough about that dagger that we can presume that it wouldn't just stop working one day, right? What if the dagger stopped working one day? You would have to have some sort of backup.
Well, you could argue that maybe the dampeners never... Have we ever seen a dampener dampen negative speed force before?
The dampeners, well, I mean, they should work, right? It's all dark matter. That's how they work, is on dark matter, correct?
Yeah, but you got to remember, I was going to say Eric's. Earbud's thing is sourced sort of differently. So you could make that argument, but then also the dagger affects him.
And the dagger dampens dark matter, which means it's literally the same thing as the dampeners.
Yeah, it's sort of hard, but then... I know.
Wait, are you about to give me a W on this one? Is this about to happen? Are you going to say you're right?
You're never going to get a W. Because we all knew it was going to happen. You can't get a W.
No. I'm not disputing that. I was prepared for the dagger part. It triggered me, but I was prepared. There should have been dampeners, Pagey. There should have been dampeners.
Oh, there should have been dampeners. Yes, but it's typical Flash.
That's what I'm saying.
You take too many L's that you'll just scream for a W. You're not getting one today.
So that was my biggest issue with that. I was like, there's no backup for this criminal who's got he's the most deadly criminal they have in there. They're literally just and then him bringing one of the things that I thought was a little weird was when the guard brought the chain with the ring on it. I was like, okay, that's.
I rolled my eyes and I was like, oh, you're either an idiot or.
Yeah. Did you drop out on me? Oh, there you go.
No, I'm here. I just stopped talking.
Yeah. Are you an idiot? Stop. I guess he was. Let's do some super chats real quick because we got a few here. Finn, you're human. $2 super chat says Barry is partly responsible for her being erased. Thoughts on that, Pagey? Partly responsible for her being erased. Do you think that's true?
Say that again.
That Barry is partly responsible for Nora being erased. Thank you for the super chat, Finn.
No, Barry's an idiot that just didn't think, but it's all Nora's fault.
I remember. Barry tried. Barry tried so many times.
Barry sent her back.
Yeah.
Barry sent her back. He dragged her by the collar and went, "Can you stay here and not come back?" And she still came back. So.
Yeah. I mean, I maybe you could say it's because he pushed her a little. Here's the thing. People that are sort of siding with Nora are going to see the things that Barry did and go, okay, maybe he pushed her a little bit too far when he took her back to 2049 and left her there or whatever. But I would argue that Nora was already on that path anyway. I don't think that Barry may have sped up that process, but I think Nora was already on that path. Don't you think? Because had she not been exposed, she wasn't going to tell him, guys. That's the thing. Is I don't think Nora had any intention of ever telling them what was actually going on. That's just how I see it. Thank you for your super chat, though. Tom with a $2 super chat, no comment, so I guess you're just supporting the show. Thank you so much. Ganger Venom with the $5 super chat, he goes, Cisco's ending was dumb. It was basically somebody not wanting to race anymore than chopping off their legs, taking his powers a little much. That's quite an analogy there, I have to say. Thank you for the super chat. So here's the thing. There seems to be a little bit of confusion. Maybe I want to talk it out with you and see what you think. Do you think Carlos is leaving, or he just had his powers taken away? Do you think he's leaving for good?
He's gone as a regular. I think the way that they did that thing was too it felt like a farewell, but I think he's gone as a regular and he might be in Crisis next season because it's not important to remember. It's not like he's I'm going to Star City or something like that. I'm going to Coast City. Camilla still works with Iris,
right?
Or is a photographer for Iris. So there's still that. It's just that he's not going to be able to play into every episode.
It doesn't. After the threat of Cicada left, there was no point in taking away your powers. You know what I mean?
It just felt like a way to be I think he's still going to be on the show. It's just that it's going to be a guest recurring role,
which sucks because he's the heart and soul of the show to me. I feel here's the reason why that was so weird to me. Number one, Cisco is the biggest superhero fanboy. He has been since the beginning. So for him to not want to be a superhero is so out of character for him. Secondly, they had to take away his powers because having him leave while still having his powers would have felt like a like him turning his back on his friends. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why they did. Even though he is, but the fact that he doesn't have powers anymore now, there's less reason for it. 3, if he is kept on as a season regular, now he's a liability to everybody. He's just the guy at the desk, which means he can get captured or kidnapped or whatever.
Yeah, like if anything, he's going to come back in Crisis. He'll come back for Crisis, and he'll be like a different version of Cisco, like another Earth version who is Vi, but maybe a bit more powerful or something along those lines. I just don't know how they'd fit him into the general season of the show with how he is now.
Yeah,
like he's still. The thing is, like, what does he go do now? Does he just go stare at a wall? Like, what's his job?
That's the thing is looking at Cisco. Even if he takes away his powers or whatever, he belongs at Star Labs. He's a genius. What is he going to do? He doesn't want to go do a tech thing. It was already an evil version. Well, evil, but a douchebag version of him from Flashpoint. He doesn't want to be that character. So,
and you got to remember, he built all the crap. He was their engineer.
Right. This is why I think Ryan's going to show up next season.
Ryan Choi.
Yeah.
Well, that or he'll be introduced like mid-season or something like that. Right. Depending on it, all depends. Like there's a big question mark over next season with all the shows.
Yeah.
What do they do before Crisis? Because you can't build this story up, then have this massive multiversal event, which is probably another reason that Cisco's going, because they're probably going to kill the multiverse off.
Right. Well, that's what I said. Is if they bring all of the multiverse together into one Earth, that's going to be a little weird. First of all, because we know that some of the other Earths are very different from ours, but to bring them all together into one Earth would be Cisco's powers would be redundant at that point, because there is no reason.
Most
to
of them,
yeah. I mean, he does have the ability to, like, shoot blasts and stuff like that, but
or even just breach places.
Right, but when you're a speedster. Honestly,
like you don't really need what's the point of it? Barry would get there faster most of the time.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought that was a little bit weird. I was sad to see him go. That was actually the most emotional part of the episode for me, because I'm looking at that, I'm like, this is so sad, because I think a lot of us, Cisco was the everyday person. Like, he was the guy who loved it, got his powers, also died to the big bad, but then was brought back to life by time travel, lost his brother because of Barry doing Flashpoint. He's that guy that everybody could sort of relate to. And I think this season they did a lot of disservice to his character. You know what I mean? Making him unlikable by being so moody and out of place and unpersonable. And Cisco's not that character. He's the most relatable character on the show, which is, it's going to be tough, because who's going to fill that void? Are we going to have another Wells come in and be the smart guy first season? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. We have another couple super chats here. Ash with a $5 super chat. A wise man said, incompetent shouldn't be rewarded with loyalty. Todd Helbing has been a bad writer for a long time, and this season is proof. I don't think I disliked Todd Helbing until I didn't like season 4, granted. I think season 4's ending they stuck the ending a lot more than they did with this one in terms of the way they wrapped it up. I just think that time travel is not his thing. I don't think he necessarily is a bad character writer. I think his character moments were okay, but I think that his concept of how to put together a complex time travel show doesn't really work. It's really no way to put it.
Oh, he needs someone holding his hand, because he couldn't do it on his own.
Aaron Kreisberg had a good concept of that, but oh well, let's move on with that. We got another super chat here from Omega199. He said, Iris has to go to work to have a coworker, Pagey. Thank you so much for the super chat. That is true. Apparently she's been working off camera. Do you think, let's talk about the actors themselves for a second in regards to that. A lot of us were very confused, especially you and I. We talked about this many times. Why Candace Patton hadn't seemed to be very interested in promoting the show for the last half of the show. Do you think, this is all speculation by the way, guys, do you think it's because they did a disservice to her character after promising so much this season? Because she really was Nora's cheerleader, and that's it. She didn't do much else in the back half.
She didn't do anything. And I've said this before, like, it's almost an impossible task to make Iris not only an interesting character, but a character that does something week to week. It's almost impossible, because the character in the comics serves a certain purpose.
Right.
But when a show you have 20 plus episodes a season, and you can't have that character, and it's not nothing against like Candace Patton or anything. It's just that she just stands there half the time, or she takes over someone else's lines or roles. And I don't know what they're going to do going forward, because they put her in the position where she had the storyline, which is for the character, which, granted, they should have done in season 1 because, you know, she was fairly young, because you got to remember this is meant to be like a younger, like Barry and Iris are like mid-20s, like 23, 24 at that stage. She's not going to be running her own goddamn newspaper entity media company.
Right.
But at this stage, they should have, you know, should have kept the blog going and been a consistent thing until this point, like end of season 4 or season 5, where she officially like pushes this forward and is like, it's going to become this proper thing. Because I don't know, like, are we meant to believe that by 2019 that the Central City Citizen is up and running, and
the
Iris
paper that was
article
teased with the crisis event? Keep in mind, guys, that paper tease was from her paper.
Her paper, yeah, but she writes the article. Obviously, it's going to be changed to a different title, but it's still her newspaper. And obviously, that the way it's designed, no one puts up a blog post like that in. Not
only that, but you got to think, not only does she have to reach the point where her paper is in production, but she also has to reach a point where it's a sought after paper, like something that people go after. Yeah.
Where it's like people aren't using the Central City News, Picture News, CCPN. Yeah. People aren't using that as like the source. They're using her one as the source. Right. And fair enough, when it was like the Flash and stuff, she would be able to, you know, because basically Iris cheats. Like, really, we've got to be honest, Iris cheats because she has all the sources in front of her.
Right.
Which they've never really gone about, have they? That Iris basically cheats. Anyway. Cheats her way to a successful career. But, yeah, like, I don't know what they're going to do, because this should have been something that we should be towards the end of this arc for her, you know, creating CCC, Triple C, Central City. Yeah. Anyway, Triple C. But we're not even like a quarter through it, because they do it and they'll focus on it for like 2 episodes and go away for it. And then the only time we're ever reminded about it is that we go to her office. Or
when it's necessary for the episode of the week. Like if it's that episode needs to have it, they'll throw it in there. But otherwise, it's not really discussed.
Yeah, like as I said, Iris, I wish they'd gone with the... so for those that know the original plan, Iris wasn't even going to be in the pilot. Right. And she wasn't even going to, like, Barry and her weren't going to be foster siblings or whatever they were. She was just going to be this girl from school that Barry knew of and had a crush on. And she was going to be like a minor character in the early seasons. Right. Not a minor character, but like a recurring character. And then they changed it to the point where they basically skipped all character development, because Barry and Iris knew each other from since they were like 6 years old.
Right.
And they were like really good friends.
So it's almost like the writers took a free pass and just said, oh, we know they've known each other, so let's just go, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like they did. Well, I honestly don't know what they were thinking, because that seems like it's the easy one, because you don't have to force her into the show. It's just almost like something that Barry, it's like personal life Barry. And that's where Iris comes in. And that's where she should come in, because that's where she comes in.
But I do believe, though, like getting back to the original thing, is that if Candace's straying from promoting the show, if I were in her position, I would probably feel the same way. Like if my character was literally given the task of setting up stuff and that's all they did in the back half of the season, then I would
she's she's just used for plot. And like, it wouldn't surprise me if Candace blew up if she was literally given the ultimate female plot, almost insult, and it's like, oh, you're pregnant.
Right.
Because I think even for like a character like Iris and where she's now, imagine if they gave her a pregnancy arc instead of doing the journalism.
Oh my God. That would be...
You can't defend that. If you're actually...
be such a betrayal to her as a character.
That would expose the fans. Who's actually just there for West Allen, or who actually cares about Iris. Right. That would expose them. Because if you were like, oh my God, yay, she's pregnant, you don't care about Iris.
Yeah.
Because that's literally female insult character, what do you want to call it, 101. Don't do that. That's why Emily Bettrakars didn't do it, but they really couldn't do anything with the character. You know, and
Emily pieced out before they made her pretend to be pregnant. Like she got like 2 or 3 episodes of it, and then she pieced out. So
yeah,
I would just like I can imagine as a female acting in these shows that would be like the worst thing for them to tell you. Hey, you're going to be pregnant on the show. Like I can imagine that would be the worst.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest that that's why she left at the end of season 7, because they would have just probably continued that pregnancy arc until Crisis happened next season. So all of last season, she would have been wearing a fake baby stomach.
Yeah.
A pregnancy.
And a liability. A pregnant woman on these shows, especially
Baby
one that's in a
belly.
lead role, becomes a liability for the team because everybody wants to exploit someone like that.
You can tell Jose is completely trolling in the chat.
Yeah.
I love Iris and I want her to be pregnant because she will be a great mom. 100% a troll.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we got a couple super chats and then we're going to jump back over to the list here. Finn, Your Human, $2 super chat says Thawne has been in a cell at Star Lab, so the dampener works. I mean, can't really argue about that. That is true. Thank you for the super chat. $2 super chat from Tom. Both seasons, no big bad. Eric rants. I love it. Thank you so much for the support, Tom. I appreciate it. If you really love my rants, wait until you see my Flash review because it's going to be quite hefty. Ash Baron with a $5 super chat says, let's be honest, Thawne did Barry a favor by manipulating Nora into erasing herself from the timeline. Now Barry doesn't have to get a vasect. Oh my God. Did you read that, Pagey? Barry doesn't have to get a vasectomy. Oh my gosh.
Well,
we have reached peak. Like it's that time of night. I can tell you already. All right. So let's thank you for the super chat. Let's move on here. So one of the issues I had with Thawne, which came into play at the end of the episode and answered a question, but also kind of triggered me again, was we've always wondered why Thawne is protected from changes in time. So apparently the negative speed force is unique in the fact that if you're using it or you're running through it, you can, solidify yourself back in time, basically. Is that the way it was explained? I'm guessing that's what it meant. That you're
but he said that earlier. I think they said that back in season 2, wasn't it?
Well, but the official negative speed force wasn't really. I mean, the writers explained that, but they didn't say that it was unique to the negative speed force, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they were saying that it was, in this episode, that it was unique to the negative speed force, which was interesting. So, this is the other thing, though. Is this saying that because Barry technically created the connection to the speed force, does that mean that Thawne is the creator of the negative speed force now? That is his own thing? No, I mean, like, is that going to be canon moving forward, or is this something they just threw in to make it interesting at the end? Like, because we know that the negative speed force was not a big deal until this season. It became a really big deal at the very end. Do you think we're going to loop back to that? Do you think this is like real information, or do you think it was just Thawne being Thawne? You know what I mean? Like, I created it, of course. I'm Eobard Thawne, you know? I don't know. I feel like I want it to be something that we see again, but I don't know if it's ever going to come back around. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, was it just dropped for this episode for the intent of keeping Nora around, or them trying to take her and keep her around, or is this going to play back up later? Because I told you in your Discord that one of the things that bothered me about Eobard was that the one from season 1, we're going to get timey-wimey here. I can feel it already. The one from season 1 has to live out that life. He has to be like, the season 1 finale has to happen. Do we agree on that? I mean, that it has to happen the way it happened. Otherwise, Eddie Thawne would still be around. Because people have argued with me about that. So the season 1 finale has to happen the way it does. So the versions of Thawne we get now, the only explanation for why Thawne knows what he knows is the journal. Because the one we have now is another version that exists because of the negative speed force. So he may know what happened with everybody else, but I don't think he was necessarily the same one that was there in season 1. I think he just has those memories or that information. Is that what we're saying? Is that what's happening here? Because there's no way he could be the one from season 1. That one gets erased. Correct?
Yeah, it's just I'm trying to remember what they explain.
Because here's the thing. In this episode, they said that he remembered them visiting him back in season 1, right? And I said there's no way he could remember that because that version has to get erased. That version of Eobard, that Eobard that goes to the end of that season, has to get erased. So the only logical conclusion would be that the one that we have now was able to read the journal and discern that information from the journal. That's the only way that could work.
Well, couldn't it just be similar to the whole Savitar thing when he split off in the negative speed force? He has like a Savitar type memory where he just remembers what happening.
You mean like what Barry had, where he was remembering stuff that Savitar did?
Yeah, so that's why he had to wipe his mind, but with Reverse Flash, he just remember.
So you're saying that maybe they work like a time remnant then, basically.
It's almost like a cloud.
There was also a part in this episode where it looked like Eobard created a remnant or a mirage or something?
I think I've had a discussion. I think in the comments we determined it was a mirage because it didn't actually contact anything.
Okay.
It just ran.
That was my initial thought. That's what I thought it was. Yeah. So I was just trying to make sure.
Because it couldn't have been a remnant because they fused back together.
Right.
But so it was a speed mirage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're still kind of sort of speculating about Eobard's memories because there's no definitive answer. I think we could sit here and argue for 20 minutes.
Because the argument came up not last year, 2 years ago when Christ on Earth X happened because that Eobard was reciting stuff as well. And then Todd Helbing confirmed that this Eobard we dealt with this season was an older version of the one that we
the way season 1 ended has caused them so many problems with the Eobard character. They shouldn't have done it that way. It should have been done a completely different way. Just in my opinion. A time remnant is a version of a character that comes from 1 second ahead or behind
in the future.
them. Yeah. It has to be ahead of them. I mean, 1 second in the future because...
it can't be in the past,
because then you'd erase yourself. So
yeah, the time remnant is the expendable one from 1 or 2 seconds in the future.
Right. Okay, so moving on from that, because we could talk about that for hours. We had the cool fight scene with Eobard and Team Flash. I think that was done really, really well. All of them
got a moment.
Yeah, everybody got a moment, and we got to see Vibe using his powers the best way possible. I thought they did a really good job with that. I thought Caitlyn was pretty cool. I think they did kind of focus on Vibe though, which is why. And honestly, when we were watching the episode, and he had that moment at the beginning with what's her name, Camilla, I thought, okay, something big's gonna happen with him because why would he go off by himself like that within the first 15 minutes of the episode? It was really weird. You know what I mean? When he went and sat down with her and had the conversation with her and everything, I thought for sure this is setting up for something. So I think we saw that coming. So when he got that big moment at the end with the fight scene, I thought that was really good. It was a lot of fun. We had Iris with her gun out there. I thought that was this is gonna sound like I don't want you guys to think I'm hating on Iris, but there was no reason for her to be there.
If Sherlock wasn't there, why did she need to be?
It just didn't.
It was basically just so they could have the Nora goodbye.
Yeah. Well, I mean, her being there off to the side would have been one thing, but she was right in the middle of everybody else. I feel like if you're going to make... Okay, so here's my complaint. If you're going to make Iris a character who's out in the field, she needs a tech suit of some type. She needs some sort of protection. She literally goes out there in her regular clothes in the middle of these metahuman fights, and it's just so stupid to me.
Even if she had something that Alex Danvers wears on Supergirl.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If she's going to be doing it, then at least go out there with some protection. Showing up in $400 shoes and some leggings with the blouse or whatever. It's it's the same issue with Killer Frost. At least she's getting a proper costume, which, by the way, I can't wait to see what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I thought they were going to show it, and I thought, nah, they probably haven't made it yet, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's as good as the season 3 one, because the season 3 one was really so good.
It looks so villainous, but they'll do something different.
I think they'll do season 3, but with pants, because she had a skirt, and I think it was really cold a lot of the time when they filmed. So Daniel Panabaker didn't like it that much. It was like when Katie Lotz had to wear that really revealing black canary suit. Yeah. Apparently you should freeze in it.
Canada Graph says she should have been out there with a tablet or a pen and paper. Not touching that one.
Throw the tablet like Felicity.
Not touching that one. Let's see what we got here next. Okay, so one of the things that kind of annoyed me was certain things that were okay, so for example, we're looking at it right now. Barry's suit. If Nora gets erased, technically time should have caught up with everything, and anything that Nora brought with her would be gone too. Because
no.
You don't think so?
Anything that belongs to Nora, the only thing that should have disappeared was the journal.
It's yes, and the little chip that was in her thing, the message she left for.
Yeah, anything attached to the journal. That's or unless that chip was created in present day.
I thought it was part of her gauntlet. Wasn't that what it was?
Was
it
it?
like a little piece of
I don't know.
metal?
Whatever. It plugged into the goddamn.
Well, yeah. It worked.
Plugged into thing.
It worked with. I guess Gideon has drives for everything, but
yeah. So anything that was like specific to Nora,
right.
like it belonged to her.
Well,
like
fair enough, but there was a lot of that sitting around. The journal, the chip.
But like the ring shouldn't have, because it would have existed without Nora. And Nora was just the vessel that brought it back.
Right, but Nora bringing it back should have never happened because Nora technically
the way that the show's described time travel is everything that's still in the present still exists. If something changes in the future, it won't affect your past.
But we're assuming
even if that stuff's here. It's like when Reverse Flash died. He came back and did all this stuff and had certain stuff here. But when he died, it just didn't all disappear. It's because that we've already lived that stuff happen. You know what I mean?
This is not the Avengers Endgame. No. I'm saying I get what you're saying, but they're very picky and choosy. Well,
it's sort of the opposite.
Disappears. You know what I mean?
It's sort of the opposite, because with Endgame, they basically changing the past won't affect the present, but with the Flash, the future stuff has come back to the present where we're living it out. So when it changes in the future, it won't affect our present. If that makes sense.
Okay, so but with the Flash,
actions and everything, because the actions and stuff have already played out in our present, and they've already been here and had an effect in our timeline, they can't be removed.
What I'm saying though is that Nora. Okay, so even so, right? Even if that's the case, there should be no memories of Nora for anybody to have, because Nora herself traveling through time, the memories of her and anything that she would have changed should have been reverted. Because that's how Flashpoint worked. That's how Flashpoint worked. No,
because we've already experienced that. No, because Barry went back to the source. He went way back in time and changed it.
No, I understand that. But everything going up when he went back, like all the different changes or whatever, you can never fix. And Jay Garrick explained this. You can never make everything work 100% the way it did. So to assume that by Nora doing what she did wouldn't change something like 10 years from now, that's a little stupid. Because obviously she's made major changes. We don't know if Ryan Choi would have made that suit. We don't know if it would have ever been made the same way it was. We don't know about any of the tech or stuff that she had, whether or not that would have happened. It's too many loose ends for them to just go, okay, this stuff will disappear, but this stuff won't. Because obviously the journal and the chip were not supposed to be there, according to their own time travel rules.
Yeah, because I said that everything that
trying to give them a W for getting it right is not going to work, because they're not.
No, because you can't give them a W because they've stuffed it by that journal staying there.
Yeah.
It would have been cool if it vanished as they were reading it, or just as they finished finished that video message that it vanished. That'd be cool, because it'd be accurate.
Even the video message, right? The fact that the message had her still in it, that's like she was erased, technically.
No, because it would have already affected the present, and she would have already recorded it.
Nobody saw it though.
What do you mean?
They didn't watch the video till after she was gone, so it didn't affect anything.
No, but that physical thing is like Nora could have taken a photo.
Right, but we've already agreed that the chip shouldn't even be there. So
yeah, no, that's why it would have been cool if it vanished, because time takes a while to set cement, if you want to call it. That's why Nora didn't vanish straight away as soon as the dagger went.
Yeah,
sure, all that stuff should have happened. What do you call it? When Nora disappeared, but you can make the argument that because they went, that was in the future where she was meant to be. That's why she disappeared faster.
Right.
So technically, if she was time traveling, maybe time would take longer to catch up because she was in a
Here's the reason why this doesn't work for me.
She was meant to be.
Let me break this down in like the easiest way. When we follow time travel on the show, we usually follow it through the eyes of the person who is time traveling, which is Barry, typically.
And that's why they stuffed up this season.
Right. Nora is a character who we were not following. We were following her when she got here, but we were not following her originally. Like, it wasn't like we started the journey with her in 2049 and then we came back. Like, we didn't find out anything about that until like halfway through the season, is like about her future and all that and everything. We got bits and pieces, but that was it. So technically, anything that would have happened with Nora that would have changed the timeline or made any subtle changes, we should have been watching it through the eyes of Barry. But that's not the way it was done this season. So we end up with these issues where one episode it feels like we're with Nora, one episode it feels like we're with Barry and Iris, and there's no real point of view character. And that's the problem with time travel, is when you have a character that's supposed to be quote unquote your point of view character and it changes throughout the season, and then you start subtracting things with time travel, you end up with all these questions that go unanswered, things that just don't make a lot of sense.
Well, the best way they could have done this season is that we see Nora, but we never see where she, like, we see her speed off, but we never see where she goes.
Right.
Her going to the time vault, her writing in her diary, and we basically follow almost Sherlock in regards to discovering what she's done, and maybe he brings it up to Barry. But the only time we ever time travel to see Thawne is with Barry. Like, he follows that evidence and meets Thawne. That's how they do it. But they wanted to show Eobard Thawne as much as they possibly could in this season, so they used Nora as that time travel vessel.
Right.
And as I said, as we've said multiple times, this when talking about the show this season, Nora's been the main character, and that's not a very good direction to go.
Even tonight, she came in. I got a plan. Everybody's standing around waiting for Nora to walk in with a plan. Literally, nothing you've done this year has worked. Not one plan that you presented has worked. Not one.
And it's funny. Like, as soon as Nora says something, it's like, oh, Nora, let's listen. Last episode when Ralph brings it up, oh, nah, Ralph, to you.
Which, by the way, the one time that Ralph wanted you to listen, he was absolutely right. Every time Nora wanted to do something, she was wrong.
And everything he said when he was presenting it was logical.
Yeah.
Like, Nora just goes, oh, here's this plan, let's hope it works. But everything what do you call it? Ralph was saying, and Barry knew Thawne was behind it, so it all made sense.
Right.
So, as I said, like, Nora was essentially like, it was weird. Like, Nora wasn't a Mary Sue this season because, like, she got exposed.
No, she wasn't because she made so many mistakes. There's no way she could have been.
But it was just like, it was to the point where she had, like, I want to say it was almost borderline plot armor in regards to just, like, the team being, like, allowing certain things to happen where her character could push forward, if that makes sense.
Let's talk about the plot armor for a second, because one of the things that annoyed me in this episode was after everything that's happened, after everything that's gone down, Iris still tried to tell Nora it wasn't her fault. and she literally said, Nora, it's not your fault.
You sure about that?
Are you positive? Because I believe that everything that's happening, she got played by Thawne, which is exactly what Barry tried to say early on when Nora turned to Barry and said, Dad, you were exactly right. Everything you said about Thawne was true. Wow. Imagine that. This is why characters get, like, people wonder why people bag on characters so hard. When you have, like, lines like that, so stupid. Clearly, even Nora at the end accepted the fact that this was her, that she made these mistakes. And you could even say, yeah, other characters made mistakes. Yes, you could argue, just like Finn said, you could argue that Barry did push a little bit. You could argue that Joe and Iris set the stage for Nora to make mistakes. You know what I mean? But the thing is, ultimately, these things would not have happened had Nora been there. And you could even argue back to the first episode that Barry, who had been so against time travel last season in season 4, was totally okay with keeping Nora around. He kind of, in that regard, he bears a little bit of the responsibility from the get-go. But I think once he found out that she was working with Thawne and he tried to say, hey, by the way, shouldn't be doing that, that she did it anyway. I don't understand. What was the personality of the Nora character? Frantic, impulsive. I don't want to say stupid, but she made some stupid choices.
Amateur.
She says, learning to be a hero. When were you a hero? When were you a hero? I just...
Yeah. She just become a speedster when she said, I'm the Flash in my thing, you know. In the
she
first
lied
episode.
about that too. But this is the thing. Nora lied 95% of the time. People just keep forgetting that. Nora didn't lie. She just didn't tell them the truth. No, Nora lied. There were lots of times where Nora lied. At the end of every third episode, when it was brought up that she was keeping some sort of secret, guess what? She lied about it. You can go back and watch the season. She lied about so many things. And I wanted to like her. And actually, if you guys remember, I defended her for like the first 5 or 6 episodes of the season because I'm like, there's no way that she's that. Oh, yeah, she's that stupid, I guess. Just... You know, I mean, it was so dumb. I feel like she was intended to be like an 18 or 19-year-old girl, maybe even a little bit younger than that, because making her as older as she was, working with the police department and stuff, and just being so completely stupid, I just don't know. All right, so let's move on from that bit. Oh, and Eobard Thawne is out running around. Pagey and I talked a little bit before, and I guess I guess it's going to be for Crisis, right? from running around being ready for crisis.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Nora disappearing really quick in the chat. Did she deserve it? Did she not deserve it? Was it justice served to Nora by her disappearing? Pagey, what do you think? Do you think she deserved it to be erased from her own existence?
She deserved it, and that's the main reason that scene holds like no emotional resonance or value, because you're like, well, why should I feel sad? You did it yourself. As I said to Eric, the perfect analogy is like, if someone's playing with a knife and they cut themselves, I'm not going to feel bad for them. It's like, you're the goddamn idiot who was playing with a knife.
Yeah.
So you cut yourself, started bleeding, you dabbed on yourself and basically snapped yourself. So RIP the dream, goodbye Nora.
Fair enough, Finn. If she would have been much younger, I probably would have chalked it up as her just being inexperienced. So anyway, let's see. There's a Ralph Dibny love interest Easter egg at the end of the episode. I don't know how many people caught that. I saw it while we were watching it. I had to go back and rewind it. And I'm like, is that an Easter egg? I'm not too familiar with, Sue Dibny's maiden name. I know she is in the comics. But I looked it up, and I'm guessing that's a tie-in to her character based on the end of the episode. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's probably going to be at the beginning of next season. Ralph's going to be like investigating something, and she's going to be involved, and then they get together.
Yeah. Let's see. Canada said, I thought for sure she was going to end up back in 2049 somehow because of that scene that they shot that I saw. Yeah, what about that scene? What do you think? Do you think they're going to show up at some point? Like it'll be like online, they'll release it online or something? Or do you think that they shot that scene and then they just decided to change it? Maybe?
Well, it's weird. It's pretty rare that they film scenes, like, especially in a finale. Like, usually it's something, and it's an extended bit or something of a scene.
Right.
So I'm surprised that they went outside, blocked off certain things, and filmed a scene, but never used it.
Right.
So, will they ever show it? Maybe. Maybe that could have been the scene that determined maybe when Iris is meant to get pregnant. Like, maybe there's like a certain date that's revealed then or something. I don't know.
You see the super chat.
Because Pagey said knife like Crocodile Dundee. Did I?
I don't know. Did you? Thank you for the super chat, knife. Omega, for the 199 super chat.
A knife. Am I saying it's strange?
No, it's just funny that he brought that. I don't even really think about that movie until he said that. It's so funny.
Anyway, I am Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah. So before we close this out, there were 8 questions that I wrote down that I wanted to get answered in the finale. I was going to make a video about it, then I changed my mind. But there were 8 things that I thought that I wanted to see answered in the finale. The first one was I wanted to know whose dagger was actually attached to Eobard. I thought we were not going to get that, though. I'm thinking that we're not going to get that answer. I pretty much decided we weren't going to get that. I don't even think it really matters one way or the other. The second one was where did the rest of Nora's suit come from?
Yeah,
because
they never explained that.
The jacket is Iris's jacket. I get that, but all the other components
obviously hers from her CCPD.
Right, but the rest of it with all the Speed Force language on it and the mask and everything. I mean, who made that for her? Because she got Barry's suit from a prototype, obviously, but there's no way that her suit was made for Barry. There's no way. So
yeah,
all right, they didn't answer that.
Yeah.
The third one is one that I'm not going to ask because it's kind of redundant. I wanted to know how Grace knew to travel back in time. Where did she get all the info and tech from? Don't think it really matters. The other one was who taught Grace how to use the tech that she stole. We didn't get an answer for that either. How was Nora connected to Grace simply from using Wells' device again? That bugs me that we never got a proper explanation of that either. Why is the dagger so inconsistent on how it functions? Never going to get an answer for that. What was Nora doing in the past when she visited our team members at specific points? That was something that they said we were going to get an answer for, and we never got the answer for it. They never covered that. I think we decided that she must have been testing the timeline to see what she could change and what she couldn't change, but they never specified that's what she was doing. Yeah, I'm not going to leave without the super chats. I'm going to answer them. I've got it open. If there's anything left, I'll answer it. But we never went back to why Nora visited the other members in last season.
Somebody
says they answered it when. When did they answer it? I don't think it was ever addressed.
I don't think it ever was.
She said she went back to see her parents during specific moments, but she was also in Jitters as a waitress, right? Wasn't she a waitress for a bit? Or
No, she was just there.
Somebody hanging out there bringing people drinks?
Oh, no, I think she was a waitress when she bumped into Caitlin and Thawne, but when she was there with Ralph and Cisco, she was just acting like a customer.
So she was working there for a while?
I think. Let me look it up quickly while we're talking.
Jose said we found it in 5x16. She wanted to meet everyone. That's not an explanation. That's just a general statement. She was doing something. Go back and watch those scenes. There was definitely something else going on there other than her wanting to meet them.
This one. Okay, yeah. You keep talking and I'll keep watching.
Well,
watch this.
Here's the thing. I get that you guys want to take that as an explanation, but look at the way she looks at people in those scenes. She gives people stink eye a couple times. She looks at them weird. She does specific things that looks like she's purposely doing them, like spilling drinks, bumping into people.
Okay. All right. Keep talking.
No, I'm saying that there was... It felt like there was something else. Like when she gave the present to Cecile and Joe, and then she hung out at the end of the hallway, like looking around the corners. It was really weird. It was really weird.
Yeah. So at the when Ralph and Cisco's there, she smiles at them when they leave. But when she's not a waitress. She's just at Jitters, and then she knocks a drink onto Caitlin and Wells, Harry. Sorry. And she looks at them with like not an angry face, but just like like just a meh face, like nothing really going on.
But she also writes in her journals after some of those encounters, which is why
she's writing in the journal after only the Ralph and Cisco confrontation.
Right. But it was like she was purposely trying to change something, because you have to remember everything she wrote in that journal, she flipped up and sent to Eobard Thawne. It wasn't just her journal. She was sending stuff to him.
Yeah.
So that was never really explained. I feel like the explanation for me, the chat's giving him a pass on this. I'm not giving him a pass on this. My explanation would be that she was trying to test the timeline to see if it was malleable, because that's really the only thing that makes sense. I'm not giving her a pass saying that she just wanted to meet him. If she just wanted to meet them, she would have just walked up and introduced herself like she did when she went back to the house and said, I screwed up. So, yeah. The last one was the big one that I hope to see, but I said last week that we probably wouldn't get it. How did Eobard Thawne get caught?
Maybe that's gonna happen soon.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ever gonna. I think that's probably why. I think it's actually smarter on them that they avoided it.
You think?
I think it's just smarter, because I hate, one of the worst things you can do is tell us what happened but not show us.
Right.
I'd rather than just not bring it up at all.
But you know, I feel like they owed us something, because they teased it like 3 or 4 episodes ago. When
but they just said the year, and I think that's fine. Just telling us how long he's been there, because that also gives us a sense of like how long he's been without using his powers. So I think that's fine giving us. I think really this is a bit of a dab on Eric, but I think really nitpicking to the point where you're like, oh, why didn't they show us how he got caught? It's just like, oh, well, I think it's
because I felt like it was important.
For the sake of it.
No, it was important to the story, I thought.
I think the only thing I think it's important was not necessarily how he got caught, because he could have just been like, he could have slipped on a piece of ice and got knocked out. Who knows? The only thing I really wish we'd found out, and maybe they might have not done it for another reason, like, timey-wimey stuff, but how Iron Heights got in contact with the dagger and was able to use it.
But that's why I wanted to see that, because I felt like it's fair enough the public didn't know about it. They didn't have it in the Flash Museum. Yeah. Fine, I accept that. But the fact that they had the dagger and they were using it to keep Thawne, I felt like that was an interesting part of the story that I wanted to see. So
yeah, that's the only thing I would have liked, because it's just like, well, it's just very convenient that they had it. That's the only thing.
But I also said we probably weren't going to see it. I said that last week. I was like, we're probably not going to see that. Would I like to see it? Yes. Are we going to see it? Probably not. And the only reason why is because, again, I want to see the connection with the cicada thing. Here's the thing, guys. Like, this is the finale. It's supposed to wrap up everything in this season that tied into, like, the main focal story. Of course, you leave some stuff in going into the next season. I get that. We've got a few things to look forward to. But I do feel like it was a very sloppy season. Season 5 of Flash was a very sloppy, messy season, particularly because I feel like the season's focus was not in the right place. I feel like it was on Nora, and because of that, we ended up with a season that felt very disjointed, in my opinion. And that's just my thoughts on the season as a whole. You know what I mean? But I enjoyed the episode as an episode because there was a lot of really good scenes in it. Like, the emotional stuff wasn't that great. I think the emotional stuff in Arrow was much better than The Flash, but I think The Flash, again, can make a subpar episode really good by giving fans like 3 scenes that are really dope. Give us like 3 dope scenes and people forget about other stuff. And that's the way I feel about it. Let's do the super chats and then we'll talk about the last scene in the episode. $2 from Ash says, DeVoe is the only villain not to be disintegrated. Is that true?
Yeah. No, Zoom got taken away.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, by the Black Flash.
Yeah.
Or no, by the Time Race and got turned into
Time Race.
Thank you for the super chat. Mike Horan with the $5 super chat. I feel like the Flash does this every season, giving us questions. End of the season, nothing. They did it with Savitar, again with Nora, learning to accept it. Well, thank you for the super chat. I called it. I said that season 5 was going to end like season 3, that we were going to end up with a lot of questions at the end that were not going to be answered. And there's probably more that I just haven't thought about. But if you think about it, what is the determining factor between that? Time travel. Time travel is something that they have not yet learned, that you have to start answering those questions before the season finale. You can't save it all for the end. It doesn't work. You have to start putting those, like everything that happened with Thawne. Yeah, great. He shows up in the finale to fight our team at the very last second. Great. Those bits and pieces could have started constructing that a little bit better 3 episodes ago, you know? Just showing a scene of him in jail talking to Ralph and Iris or whatever, it wasn't enough. We needed more than that, especially if you're going to make him like the last person they fight at the very end. So who knows? I mean, I feel like I enjoyed this more than the Arrow finale because of the flashiness of it. The stupidity of me that loves the flashiness is like overlooking a lot of stuff in the episode. At the very end, we get the tease for Crisis, and there's some people confused. I saw a couple people on Twitter that think it means it's August of next year. There's absolutely no way Crisis is going to be August of next year. I don't.
Well, I've seen people say it's August, then it's July.
Yeah.
And that's because people are freeze framing it when it's still spinning. It never stops. It stops on 2019, but you don't really see where it stops on the month of the day. Right. So people are just speculating. Obviously, it's most likely November or December.
Yeah.
You know,
it says,
but who knows?
It says Flash for the most part has been 3 bad seasons in a row. So here's the thing. I didn't hate. People forget season 3 was kind of good up until about like what you say, like the halfway mark, like right after the middle of the season.
It literally follows the exact same issue that Arrow season 3 had, where it's good for about 2/3, and then it just doesn't turn bad. It shits the bed.
Yeah, it's so bad it makes you think the whole season is bad. I don't think all of season 3 is bad. I think season 5 is overall a worse season than season 3 because it had huge ups and downs throughout the season. You know what I mean? I think season 4, there was a lot of issues for me with season 4. The only credit I can give season 4 is that they stuck their ending and they managed to wrap it up a lot better. That's about the best I can give. But the whole thing about the newspaper and everything that you were saying is we don't know what time it's going to be. We don't know what episode it's going to be. I think that was just a tease. Don't take it too seriously. It's like when people bring up the 2056 Barry Allen message, and it's like
it's just saying 2019, so expect it later this year. But they wouldn't. Yeah, don't look too deep.
Paige, are you ready for the next big topic for your video?
Is it? I'm not doing a video on that spin-off. I just wanted to bring it up in this.
No. Are you ready for? Oh. I'm going to give you a topic that you have to cover because I think the fans need to know. They need to know about this.
Is it from the finale?
It's from the Flash.
From the Flash.
It's very important because it ties directly into the 2019 crisis. And it's probably the biggest question we could possibly have. And I know you love this question, so here we go. Are you ready for it? Do you know what it is? Think hard.
No.
2019 crisis coming up.
Are you talking about pregnancy?
No.
Oh.
There's one big thing that has to happen before crisis because it has to. Barry can't vanish because this has to happen.
Gideon.
Yes! Barry can't. Nothing can happen to him in Crisis because he hasn't made Gideon yet. Gideon can't even give them the information because he has to invent it. When does he invent Gideon, Pagey? You have to make the video. You have to tell us. What is...
Thanks for the clickbait idea, Eric. Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
Barry creates Gideon ? Hashtag confirmed. There we go. Oh, Dash the Flash season 6. There's the video. Okay. Expect that in... What's the date? It is the 15th in Australia. Expect that on the 25th or 26th of this month, of 26th of May. So expect that then.
Oh,
so
God. I'm not going to read what Canada Graphs just said.
Yeah, don't worry, though. You might be able to go to the DC TV show and see a stolen idea video. Or possibly Morstu. He's stolen a video before and got called out in it. So, yeah.
We got
hashtag exposed.
Okay, so we got one more super chat before we wrap this up. Monquia Edwards with a $2 super chat says, I wish Barry would have fought Reverse Flash by himself. I would have liked that. And, you know, I love the Barry versus Reverse Flash thing. Matter of fact, it's the poster right here behind me. I love it.
Well, I think we're gonna get that next season in Crisis.
Yeah. I think they had to have that moment because we're losing Nora. We lost...
And Cisco's going as well.
So they had to make it a team effort. I think that's why. Plus, this was the whole team, like the OGs facing off against the guy that they couldn't beat in season 1. So they wanted a W. Do you think they got the W on that one? Would you give the W on that one?
Well, well, you ran away, so I guess you win. He forfeited, didn't he? So.
Yeah, he did. So, yeah. Overall, I enjoyed the finale. There were some triggering moments for me. I think it was better than the Arrow finale. But I think there's a really strong contender, you guys. You're going to hate me for this. In the Supergirl finale, because this penultimate episode of Supergirl was really good. So I
think it said Legend of Tomorrow season 4 finale.
No, I forget. Is that show even still on? Can't even tell.
You watched it.
So Laura sent a super chat. Where did I miss Laura's super chat?
It's Lara.
Oh, yeah. Laura E. It was right above the knife thing. That's why I missed it. $2 super chat from Laura. Who had a better season 5, Arrow or Flash? Oh, Arrow. Arrow had a better season 5.
Oh, yeah.
If we're talking about just season 5, it was definitely Arrow. Arrow was the comeback king with season 5. They dabbed on season 4 and went right into that in the end.
They didn't just dab, they flossed.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I would say Arrow season 5. Actually, Arrow season 5, if I think about it, was my favorite season next to 1 and 2. So I would say it's probably... 2 is really my favorite season of Arrow, to be honest. Mostly because of the Deathstroke stuff. So yeah, Arrow season 5 was good. I would say I'm doing a ranking video on Thursday, a live ranking video, or like, you know, I guess for the whole Arrowverse. I guess we'll do all the shows like Pagey did. So I'll do it live with you guys. It'll be earlier in the evening. But we'll talk about it there because I think now that we've seen the finales, you might have to do another one, Pagey. You might have to revise your list if you don't agree with where you placed your shows. Or do you think they're in the right spots from your list?
I think they're in the right spots. I don't think I'd put anything. I don't think I'd change anything.
Well, technically, Pagey took the idea from a bunch of other people too, so I didn't steal his idea.
No, I created the trend. Everyone stole it from me. I am the
okay.
OG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Any more super chats? You guys got like 2 minutes, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Batwoman teaser. Do you think it was worth waiting for? I barely even noticed it. It was like...
Well, I'm pretty sure we're getting a trailer for it tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, we'll do a trailer.
Let me look this up so I actually just know when they are, because it's either tomorrow or the day after.
While Pagey is looking that up, in the chat, you guys, give your score 1 to 10 for the Flash season 5 finale. 1 to 10.
Okay, so it's on Thursday during the day. So it's going to be Thursday, 11 a.m. I can't wait because that means I'm going to have to wake up early to see if there's anything to cover.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of nines and eights.
Sorry for singing. I just
is that
decided
going to be on iTunes? Are you putting that up on iTunes soon?
Sorry, I just got into like a Broadway tune there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's on Thursday, May 16th, starting at 11 a.m. at the New York City Center, 131 West 55th Street.
So, you guys are giving it good scores. It's like 9s and 8s, 9s, 10s. Oh gosh. Chronic keeps asking if we like. I answered the question already. Would you like to see an overpowered version of Cisco from the multiverse? I said yes. I answered that. I guess he wants your answer. Would you like to see an overpowered version of Cisco from the multiverse?
Undecided.
Okay. Thank you for the question. Everyone got over Nora quick. I didn't. I felt zero. Like there was zero emotion about that. I think they screwed that up personally. So, all right. Well, that's pretty much going to be it. Like I said, you guys look out for my Supergirl and my Legends video because we didn't talk about it here. So I'll do extra long videos of those. I'm ready to do Legends, I guess. But Supergirl, I'm really excited to talk about. And next week, I will be doing my after party. I don't know if Paige is going to be here because it's going to be primarily about Supergirl and Legends. Unless you just want to jump in and go off.
Hold on. Let me think about how much sleep I'm not going to get.
Right.
New York time now. 9 hours from now.
Yeah.
1 a.m. Australian time. That's when it's on.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's not 4 a.m. That'd be 20 times worse, but okay. What was the question? Because I sort of ignored it.
Next week for the after party, are you planning on watching the Supergirl finale to jump on and talk about it next week or no?
Yeah, I'll watch it, and I'll probably watch Legend. I'll probably catch up on. Oh God,
we'll have something to talk about.
Next
Tuesday, we'll end off the official after parties for the season. So you guys definitely want to come in, and we'll answer more questions about Crisis. I'm sure between now and then we might get some more information. We'll talk about the Batwoman teaser and stuff like that. So
potential trailer,
maybe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for
the announcement of the Iris West spinoff.
Oh yeah, okay. We're gonna come up with that. We're gonna sit down and brainstorm it. Come up with that show.
Got a couple of exciting days ahead.
Talking about hanging out with Pagey in real life, there may be something happening in the middle of the summer where I may be seeing Pagey in real life.
Think Gucci glasses, Bose headphones, and Legendary London hoodies. That's what's happening.
That's what's happening. There may be something called Comic-Con. That
I honestly thought you were going to say Comic Cuck or something, but thank God you didn't.
No, Comic-Con. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming in. Pagey's review is out now. If you want to go watch it, this will be live in a couple hours, as long as they don't screw me over like they always do. We'll have to wait and see. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and we will talk with you later. Bye, Pagey. Bye.
Oh, bye.